Save the Semantics, episode 75. It is June 2nd, 2019. My name is Myro. This is the podcast where I talk about myself. Sometimes. And other topics, depending on just the weekly occurrences, I guess. Nearing the end. I feel like I've been saying this for like the last 4 weeks. Nearing the end of my spring quarter. I am nearing the end of this term and end of the school year, and just kind of feeling a little bit of the fatigue, not necessarily the burnout. I've been able to kind of stave that off more or less. But yeah, I'm preparing for those exams, it'll be nice once I won't have to, but that's kind of wishful thinking. I got more exams coming up. I know that even after school, or after I finish college, gotta prepare for potential, if I ever want to pursue it, CPA exam, maybe CFA, I don't know. That's always it's always a thing that could happen in the future. I don't know yet. I'm not entirely sure yet. But the shitty weather is kind of sort of a deterrent to what I want from summer weather, I guess. Actually, I think I'll take this as sort of like a blessing in disguise, just because I feel like if it's what is it, June? Yeah, I just said the date. It's June 2nd, so summer should already be around the corner, right now, but we got cloudy skies. We had a bit of light rain earlier this morning where I'm at. So yeah, I don't know, this weather's very confusing, and I don't know, global warming is definitely, if you don't think, if I'm gonna go off on a tangent here, but if you really don't think global warming's a thing, just look at the weather patterns of the last 2 years. We've had just a shit ton of fires, firestorms, and whatnot. Spring, for some reason, summer is still spring. We still got this March, April weather going on for some reason. It gets just hot as fuck in September, which is not how I like it to be. This is for my own personal preferences of how the weather should be. This is coming from someone who's bitching about California weather, even though I'm sure there's all the other states in the US have to deal with just constantly fluctuating changes in weather. But I just, for someone who is spoiled by this weather, if you don't believe in global warming, what are you talking about, man? Just look at all the natural disasters we've had and shit. I don't know, it's getting hotter in some areas. There's floods and shit. It's just all this constant change in weather patterns and all that. I haven't done my research, but this is sort of my retort to people that pick up that one politician who brought what was it? He brought a snowball into the assembly room or whatever, and he said this is evidence that climate change isn't real. Well, this is my defense, all right? Look, it's raining in June. What the really? Come on, man. This is my completely unbacked by science argument for climate change. It's a little bit of a little change in your expectations here. We gotta as a as someone who should be educated on the matter, I'm not really. But I am defending it just based on my own personal perspective, if that makes any sense. So yeah, that's my little spiel for the day. Other than that, it's been pretty good. It's been pretty good. If this motorcycle just kind of would kindly just tune down his engine. Oh, this is something that's been kind of bothering me. Despite everything going relatively well for the most part, despite the oncoming exams and stress and multitude of caffeine intake, The one thing that has, it's just been a weird kind of occurrence lately. It's just something that I've kind of noticed lately is just like just these loud motherfuckers with their Mustangs and their motorcycles. Like I just don't understand. I try to, you know, I try to understand the appeal of that. Maybe it's because I'm not a car person or whatnot, you know, but on campus, and, you know, my friends can kind of attest to this, is that there's these guys that, this is not anything like new or interesting by any means at all, but it's just, there's these just guys, it's always Mustangs for some reason, that just drive around in their fucking loud ass cars that are just kind of speeding through, you know, these crosswalks and shit like that. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I don't understand their mindset. I don't understand their motivation for doing that kind of thing, you know? Like, maybe they get some kind of thrill, you know? Like, it's not so dangerous for them like that it puts their life in danger, but it puts other people's lives in danger. Maybe that's the thrill that they get from like speeding and like revving their engine so goddamn loud. And people, I just get this like sort of secondhand embarrassment for them, you know, because like, you know, hopefully they kind of grow out of that stage where like they aren't completely fixated on their manlyhood, I guess. I don't know. Like, I just don't get it. I just don't understand it at all. Like, it's just such a weird kind of mentality. Like, it's 2019 and people still do that, I guess. I don't know. It's just kind of a weird sort of thing. I just don't get, like, you know, it's all, I get like the sort of the glamour and like the appeal of having like a nice looking car. Like, sure, I get it. It's an aesthetic sort of thing, but to have that, just this disgusting ass loud noise accompanying it, it's just, I don't get it, you know? Like, is it, like, I don't think women are attracted to that idea, right? Like, maybe they like the idea of being inside. Maybe some women like the idea of being inside of like a kind of like a luxurious or sort of a sporty car, I guess. But like the loud engine, I don't it's I don't know if they're trying to appeal to more men of like the same, you know, same caliber or the same tastes. Maybe they're sort of in like a competition to see who has a loud car engine along with the Mustang, you know. It's just such a stereotype. Like, I don't know if they're playing into it. Maybe it's all just sort of like this ironic joke that's just kind of flying completely over my head, but I really don't think those guys are self-aware enough to realize that. There's just so much footage of like people fucking up their Mustangs just to try to show off. Like, there's this one video I saw, I think it was at some car show, and this one, I don't know, this is like a 40-year-old dude, kind of was like revving his engine and was like driving through around the area where they were holding, you know, they were showing off other cars and stuff, and he was driving a Mustang, and then he like hits the curb, and he kind of like runs into a post or something, and then immediately it's just the funniest reaction from everyone there. Like they all run up and they just start clowning the guy. They start filming and shit. It's so funny. Like it's such a joke to have, you know, to have that car and to do that kind of thing. Like, it's just so funny playing into that stereotype, you know. I didn't even really know too much about that before going into the video, but then I kind of sort of fell into like a rabbit hole. You know, there's like starter packs of people who drive like Mustangs and stuff like that. But I just thought it was so funny, you know. And I don't know, as a middle-aged dude, maybe I think the dude was maybe in his 50s, but I just don't, you know, maybe that's just his way of kind of living a life. Maybe he's kind of led a mundane life. I don't know. I'm just trying hard. I'm just kind of stretching it here at this point. I'm just trying to figure out why. It's just the motivation, just the motive. I don't get it, you know. But yeah, it's just kind of a funny thing to think about, you know. Like, these loud cars. Same thing with people who kind of blare their car speakers, you know, so loud to the point where people who are maybe like 5 cars behind that car can hear that music, you know, that kind of thing. It's just another thing. Like I don't know, like to the point, like it's just this sonic. You like the circumference of like the noise of that car is just heard by from like a 1 mile radius. Like people can hear like you blaring your, you know, your trap music. Like I don't. That's another thing that I don't really get all that much. Like it's fun to like, you know, roll down your windows. Like I kind of understand the appeal of having, you know, music kind of just come out of your speakers. I mean, I don't really have that luxury because I've mentioned before that my speakers are broken, so I kind of have just to deal with my portable one, my portable Bluetooth speaker, so I can't exactly blare music out like that. But you know, back on my one speaker on the right hand side of my car used to work. Yeah, I get it. You know, it's just kind of nice, but I don't like blare it to the point where like other people can you know, from across the town can hear that shit. Like I just don't. I don't know. It's just people kind of trying to do a thing, I guess, sort of following kind of like a norm. Maybe it's a thing that people used to do back then. I don't know. Like I don't know the history. Maybe there's some kind of like it's sort of like a weird history of people blaring their cars. I think I'm kind of stretching the topic here at this point. But yeah, just kind of a funny thing that I kind of noticed recently. I was at Panda Express the other day. I've been going there a lot lately just because I don't know, it's easy, right? It's easy. It's just kind of it's quick, you know. It's better than most other fast food, right? Like it's Chinese food. I like that for the most part. But the one time I was there this week, I have a bad habit of doing this. I have kind of a bad habit of like eavesdropping on people, you know. I mean, it's sometimes it's hard not to because like people conversate very loudly or they just kind of let it be known. Like, you know, I just don't like people. Like I've mentioned this before in other episodes where people are talking loudly about their, you know, just like talking loudly on their phone. Like I don't. Either they have hearing problems or they just want to let it be known how their life is going. Like if anybody actually cares, right? But yeah, just a bit of a bad habit of mine. But then again, if I didn't eavesdrop, then I wouldn't really have anything to talk about on my podcast. There was, I don't know the relationship, but there was a kid and there was, I don't know, like a 30-year-old dude, either his dad or, I don't know, someone who was his uncle or something taking care of him. And I just overheard like the kid talking about his relationship with, I don't know, his mom or something, or his sister, and he was talking like very eloquently. The kid was like, I don't know, maybe like 9 or 10 years old. He was like talking about like minimum wage or something like that. I forgot exactly the topic of conversation, but I'm like, whoa, this kid knows a lot. This kid's smart and shit. I'm like, damn. I don't know. Like it's just not. That's not something. I thought I was like a smart person back in like 10th grade. Like no, 10th grade too. I thought I was a smart person, but back when I was like, you know, 9 or 10, I had sort of like this ego about myself. Like I was like, oh yeah, I'm like the top of the class, you know, elementary, top of the class, and all that. I'm a smart kid, you know. I know what I'm talking about. No, but like I didn't talk about like that kind of thing. Like that, this kid was like talking about like, oh yeah, like sort of the, you know, is my mom's working, you know, minimum wage, and sort of there's a housing crisis or something along those lines. I'm like, well, this kid's educated. He knows what he's talking about. Like, yeah, I'm like, this is kind of like, you know, as I think, sort of like this stereotype I have is like, oh, these kids are fucking stupid, and they are, right? But you know, maybe there's this kid that kind of proves me wrong, right? Like if there's enough oversight. I don't know if oversight's the right word, but if there's enough if he has enough guidance by his guardians or whatever, you know, he can be like a potentially good person, I guess. You know, that was kind of the idea that was kind of going through my head. And then like a minute later, he puts like a plastic bag on his head. And I'm like, all right, never mind. This kid's an idiot. I don't know. It's just funny. Just sort of the contrast, you know. Like you really you could really appear to be a lot intelligible. I think this just goes for not just kids, but people in general. You know, I can probably myself included. Except I don't really talk. I'm not a good orator. Like if I'm trying to like explain something to other people, I just don't know what to say. Like I had a class presentation last week, and I think we did a pretty good job. Our teacher seemed pretty impressed by our presentation, but I just know that like a lot of what I said just sound this like warped speech, you know. It's just I just don't know what I'm talking about a lot of. No, I know what I'm talking about. I just don't know how to like say it sometimes, you know. It's just kind of difficult. I just kind of stumble across words. Maybe I like panic. I get nervous and whatnot. I just kind of jumble these sentences together to make it somewhat coherent, and it's not at all. It's just a mess. Reflecting back on it, I'm thinking like, why didn't I just say it like this, you know? I could have just said it a basic sentence, but no, I had to make it more complex so I appear more, you know, educated on the matter when I'm not entirely. I don't know. It's something that's another thing that I can kind of work on, you know. And I did this like when I did the talk show, and when I did the other radio morning show, I also did this, you know, because it's just if I'm like sort of improvising on the fly, if I'm trying to come up with a opinion or something like that, it's just so it's hard for me to kind of structure it to make it sense, you know. Like I have this idea in my head, I just don't know how to, you know, project it. I don't know how to completely state it in a clear and a concise manner. I just don't. It's just, you know, that's just something I need to work on. I was never good at like being, you know, in front of the class and whatnot. You know, that's why I just don't like being. I don't really like being the center of attention. Which is kind of like, which is funny because I do this and I'm like the center of attention on this. But this is more, you know, this is more nuanced, I guess. Like it's not. I mean, it is me. It is only mostly me just talking, but I just don't like. It's not. I'm not trying to perform. I'm not trying to put on like a performance. Like I'm not. I'm not trying to please other people in a sense. I don't really care all that much about that. So that kind of went off somewhere. I started off talking about, but the kid, like I wanted to say, like, you know, you can appear to be a lot more eloquent and maybe well spoken, I guess, but your actions sort of speak louder, I guess, is what I wanted to say. I'm not really sure what the point of that was. I just thought it was like a funny little tidbit, but yeah, I don't know. It's just. It's hard not to eavesdrop because you're sometimes, I don't know. I think it's just interesting. This is bad, and I think this is kind of bad. And it's just sort of like an invasion of privacy, kind of, you know. But I don't, you know, I don't like dox other people. I don't like, you know, I don't give away names and shit like that, right? But it's just interesting because like there was a very like. Interesting shower thoughts on our shower thoughts on Reddit. A lot of the time, the shower thoughts are just kind of like, yeah, I don't know. It's just like whatever, right? It's just it is what it is. But there was a very interesting one that was saying that like knowing someone personally is a very like intimate thing because most, if not like, yeah, the majority of people have no idea that you even exist, right? Like it's just a very broad kind of idea, right? Like all the people that you know in your life, your family, your friends, and whatnot, right? Like it's just most people don't even know that you exist, and the fact that like these people know that you are on this planet this is a very high thought too, but it's a very like intimate thing, you know, like so being like a celebrity, being in the spotlight is it's such a weird contrast to sort of a normal state of living where you have millions upon millions of people just knowing who you are, what you do, you know, where you were born, all this other information is online for people to see. Like, it's just crazy to think about, right? But people who sort of live, you know, normally, like I do, like most people don't even know that I like exist. Like they don't conceptualize the idea of like of me, like a person like myself existing. I'm a pretty normal person, but like so it's not that crazy to think like, oh, there's a person like this that exists who's kind of similar, who has similar tastes and activities and whatnot. But like they don't, like most people in the world, billions upon billions of people have no idea, you know, that you in fact exist. So I thought that was just kind of an interesting thought kind of experiment. And it is like kind of like an intimate thing, you know, just even knowing a person, you know. Of course, like it's different in terms of like actually knowing that person and sort of knowing that person because of, you know, maybe you were classmates with them, maybe you're in like a group project with them, but it's such a very it's an interesting thought, you know, and in a way kind of like comforting too, like just having the understanding that like, oh, you are in fact part of this population, you're a part of this, I don't know, this sort of this society, I guess. But yeah, it was just a thing to ponder, you know, something interesting to think about for the rest of your week, hopefully. Just look up. It was on Shower Thoughts, one of the top subreddits on there. So yeah, I recommend checking it out. There's some interesting comment threads on there as well. I've been forgetting to do this recently. I've been mentioning like, oh, I'm gonna do this more, but I've been forgetting to do this. Which was recommending either like an album or like a song or whatever, you know. I've been kind of sort of back and forth listening to like hip hop, jazz, a little bit of R&B. I've been kind of getting into that as well. Ari Lennox's album was pretty good. I wasn't like the biggest fan of it. There's this one song called Up Late, which is incredibly smooth. So I guess I recommend that. I don't know if I'm gonna put it in the, you know, I'll just put it in the description box. Ooh, there's this other song as well called My World with Lee Fields and what is it? Exhibitionist? What is the artist called? I'm trying to look for it. Lee Fields and the... Come on, Myro. Really? Lee Fields, artists. I'm on my... Lee Fields and the Expressions. Song is called My World. Very soulful song. I'm not entirely sure when it was released. So I recommend... Yeah, so I recommend checking out those songs. It was nice listening to those while kind of just driving by. That's sort of the... thing that I was talking about, just, you know, rolling down your windows and listening to music. Those types of songs are like perfect for that. Nice little drive and whatnot. Anyways, that's probably going to do it for today. This has been Save the Semantics, signing off.